Hi, I'm Lanny, and this is Preserving Today, a greener pastures project. Today I'm going to show you how I grow sprouts at home in mason jars. I found these awesome sprouting lids on Amazon. Super handy. The design of these lids allows the water to pass through, but even the little seeds like clover can't escape. They fit any wide-mouth canning jar. They have little feet on them to help with airflow. And the yellow ones with handles are extra cool. The handles act like a kickstand, so I can leave the jar upside down and at a tilt. I'll show you that in a minute. I put the link in the description if you want to buy some of these sprouting lids for yourself. I use a quart-size mason jar. I found the quart size is best for me. Anything bigger could be hard to handle and could tip over and break. I can grow 4 cups of sprouts in this quart jar. If I wanted more than that, I would just do 2 jars. I'm using radish seeds this time. I also have a few other types of seeds. For sprouting seeds on hand right now, I have radish, alfalfa, broccoli, sunflower, clover, and mung beans. I bought all of these from Amazon because I couldn't find what I wanted in my local stores, except for the clover sprouts. I'll put these links in the video description if you guys want to buy these from Amazon. If you use the Amazon affiliate links that I provide in the description of my videos, it helps support this channel at no extra cost to you, and I really appreciate it. Okay, to start off, I need to soak these seeds. I only need to soak them on the first day. The morning of day 1, I rinse and drain this jar, and then I fill the jar about half full with water and let them soak for 8 to 12 hours. I usually do this right in my sink, through the holes in the lid. I'm only taking the lid on and off and pouring with this Pyrex measuring cup so I can film this for you. I love looking at these when they're soaking, so pretty and peaceful. So about 8 hours later, it's evening now on day 1, and I take a look. I see a few seeds starting to split. Some are floating on the surface, and I've heard that might mean that those are bad seeds and that they may not sprout. I don't know, lots of people called me a bad seed, and look at me now. I just drain the water off and then rinse with some fresh water and then leave it upside down overnight. That's it. All I do is rinse, drain every 12 hours, and leave this jar upside down and tilted. Once in the morning and once before bed. One of my favorite tricks is to roll the jar around so the seeds stick to the sides of the jar. I feel like this helps with airflow because the seeds aren't just in one big jumble. When the sprouts get bigger, they won't stick as well, and that's okay too. It's really fun for me to watch the sprouts as they grow. Every 12 hours when I rinse and drain them, I take the time to check in and appreciate how awesome this process is. Look at them grow. It's also a great time to invite your kids to check them out through each stage of their development and have a conversation about seeds and the life cycle of a plant. Okay, so to break it down day by day. On day 1 in the morning, I rinsed and soaked 3 tablespoons of seeds. In the evening on day 1, I drained that water and then left the jar upside down overnight. On day 2, I saw the first signs of life. The morning of day 2, I rinse and drain the seeds and leave them upside down again for 12 more hours. In the evening of day 2, I rinse and drain the seeds again and leave them upside down overnight for 12 more hours. Are you seeing a pattern here? Overnight, there was a lot of progress. On the morning of day 3, I rinse and drain the sprouting seeds and leave them upside down again for 12 hours. Throughout that day, these seeds were busy becoming sprouts. The evening of day 3, I rinse and drain them and leave them upside down again for 12 more hours. The morning of day 4, things are looking different. I noticed some green in the jar for the first time, and this fuzzy white stuff on the roots. Don't worry, it's not mold. Those are just tiny root hairs searching for water. It just means my sprouts are thirsty. I rinse and drain them and the roots smooth out. I leave it upside down again for 12 more hours. The evening of day 4, I can see many leaves are starting to form. I rinse and drain them and leave them upside down overnight. Day 5 in the morning, I rinse and drain the seeds. Then I decided to place them in a sunny spot so they could get some deeper colored green on the leaves. They're almost done. But then, day 5 in the evening, I forgot to water the sprouts. Yep, I totally forgot them because they were out of my sight in the kitchen and I left them on the windowsill. I didn't kill them, but I should have rinsed, drained, and left them upside down again overnight. Day 6 in the morning, they were so thirsty, since it had been 24 hours since I watered them. I rinse and drain them and leave them upside down for the day. That evening of day 6, I think they're looking pretty good. I was feeling lazy that night though, so I decided to rinse them and just leave them upside down again overnight so I could finish them off in the morning. Take a look at these. Green and beautiful radish sprouts. This is as fresh as it gets. So then I'm gonna just carefully pull these out of the jar and into my bowl in my sink. See all the little brown bits in the jar? These are the hulls, or the outside part of the seed. I don't want these in my sprouts. I don't need to eat these. So this next step is how I get rid of them. I fill the bowl of sprouts with cold water. Many of the hulls will just float to the surface, and I just need to skim them off. I've tried many ways of doing this, and I'm still trying to perfect it, but I've tried scooping them off with my hand, like this. I've used a tiny mesh strainer, like this one, and this works pretty good. I swish the sprouts around and more hulls float to the surface. It works pretty well to just pour them off while holding the sprouts down under the water. Lots of them get stuck under the sprouts at the bottom of the bowl, so I make sure to move things around to get all of them out. Now look at these. There isn't much brown left, and I'm calling it good. I don't need to get every last hull. Now I just need to dry these. This is the method that I've found works best in my kitchen. I get a rimmed baking sheet and line it with a tea towel. Then I just spread these out on the towel. But I don't dump the bowl out though, because there's still a lot of water in the bottom. I just lift the sprouts out with my hand and sprinkle them around. So then I let that sit for a while, like a half an hour or so, while I clean out the sink and I switch my laundry over. So then I get some paper towels and I place them on top of the sprouts. I got another baking sheet and I put that on top and I quickly flip the whole thing over. Then I can peel off the towel, which is now pretty wet. I move the sprouts around a bit. Man, they're pretty. Look at those green leaves. And I'm just gonna leave them here again for another half an hour or so. I decided I was gonna move them one more time back to the dry spots on the first towel. If they're wet when I put them away, they'll wilt or become slimy or get moldy. Taking the time to dry them well before putting them in the fridge is an important step to preserve them for the longest amount of time. I store them in a Pyrex-style container with a snap lid. I line the container with paper towel before putting the sprouts in. I also put a paper towel across the top and tuck them into bed to take a nice nap in the fridge until I'm ready to use them. They'll last at least a week in there. My favorite way to eat sprouts is on a bagel with cream cheese. I happen to have some sourdough bagels that I made yesterday. I split and I toasted one and added some cream cheese and a little sprinkle of everything bagel seasoning. Pro tip here is to put a ridiculous amount of sprouts on top. I actually added more after I shot this before eating the rest of it. Oh, and it's amazing, just like this, but if you add some smoked salmon, a slice of tomato, and some red onion. The next day, I had sprouts with olive oil, flake salt, and some leftover grilled salmon. Such an awesome way to get excited for spring. I don't need a big garden to grow my own food. Do you want to grow sprouts at home? You could give this method a try with just a jar, some seeds, and some water. Enjoy. And one more thing before I go, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel, and if you hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button, that'll give you notifications when I upload a new video. It's my intention to put a new video out every Wednesday morning. If you're interested in more information on the events or workshops coming up, please make sure to follow Greener Postures on Instagram. I'm Lanny, and this was Preserving Today, a Greener Postures project.